lañ def ñooy ñëw ak yéen rek skincare plus nara jàkkaarloog yéen waxtaan ak yéen tuuti rek si suñu tube suñu baax emuñ rek ci ay diw waaye comme ni ngeen ko xamee rek dañoo yëngu ci ay tube te yënguwuñ nag si just any tube suñ tube bu nekk 5-star jesna la 5-star jesna mooy jesna bi gën a pire moom la ñoo tube palmaan bi gën a fort moom la ñoo liggéeyee buñ demee Bamako ñun duñ dem ci marché bi rek buub indi déedéet dañ leen a jox suñu specs ne leen nii lañ ko buggee nay lañ ko buggee fóot bi nangami fóot lañ bugga pour mu mun a set waaw cuubi skincare déedéet doo ko sol mu di la taxa all over the place ci gàttal ñun rek si cuub dara du doy day des not only dañoo cuub but bu la neexee ñu cuubal la ba pare nag ñawal la ñaw fi mu gën a setee nag rek la ñoo fëlee ñetti ñawkat lañ am nañ ñawkati simple nga xam ne xoppati rek mbaa def sa taille basse def sa dagit def sa roba amul benn dawme am nañ koo xam ne moo ñoo dawme jigéen den am nañ tamit special ñawkat boo xam ne ñawi góor rek la ñoo defal nga bugg a sa his and hers muy korité muy tobaski mbaa muy ngénte muy takka mbaa nga bugg a rek def sa yëkka bu baax a baax daagul ba ñëw skincare plus ñu dimbali la tànnal la cuub fam gën a baaxee ndax sa yëkka gën a foor lii nga ne lan xoolal bi takka la skincare fii la fu léegi yéen tey we're not all about skin we are skin care and the plus does come in so many different ways. cuubantu wuñ de dañ cuub bam saf-saf
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.
Hi, welcome to another edition of The Brunch. I'm Lavin Cham, sitting in for Sergio Brito, that is, who has been taken ill but is doing very well. Recovering from if she were a Badibunga, I would say hang up, if you like, from the Korite festivities. But she's doing perfect and she will be back in the hot seat next week. Now, as usual, the panelists today include Nyima Satakamara and Mustafa Dabo. And in the next 1.5 hours, we will be going through all the major stories in the newspapers as well as what is trending, that is Gambian matters, of course, on the internet. We will have a guest from the TRRC. As you know, of course, they had some 40 days break. They will tell us what they've been doing behind the scenes. And do we still expect a high-profile witness on Monday? All that will be known when we have our guest from the TRRC. First though, I start with first things first, the local media. Now the Point and the Standard were the ones who featured for the 2 days that was the last week because of the festivities. And one story that caught my eyes, lady and gentleman, was Barrow Fan Club president resigned. But I think I must quickly say that he has since rescinded that decision. He said after an emergency meeting when the story came out, Barrow Fan Club president resigned. Now the background is this: over the last couple of days there have been exchanges between members who call themselves the initial group, this led by this Kijera, and then according to them there is a group that emerged from Canifing who also call themselves Barrow Fan Club, with some connivance with people from State House who are close to the presidency, whom they accuse of trying to hijack the Barrow Fan Club. And so they wouldn't accept that. There was a bitter exchange of arguments, and then this Kijera, who claimed to be the founder of the original Barrow Fan Club, tendered his resignation and he made an audio of it. But I must say that he said in the last couple of days that he was called after the story of the Standard came out, and he was assured that some of the concerns he raised, that he said led to his resignation, have either been addressed or will be addressed. But he said at the bottom that he would not hesitate to resign again if the same things happen again.
What are those concerns? Did he explain?
He said he wouldn't like his character to be stained, and he wouldn't like to follow a leader in a way that was going to stain his character. He didn't exactly give much details, but he said he wouldn't like to be carried away to be a part of a thing that will dent his character. He didn't give much details. But what is your impression? Something not all is well with the Barrow Fan Club?
I have not seen it myself, and I don't think it's worth talking about that much. But I think what we can say about this is we have to understand that this whole thing is based on patronage. It's a give and take. There are expectations involved. If you're going to do something like this, you're expecting that you're going to be rewarded for it. So if there are other camps emerging that could bypass his influence and the favors that he expects to gain from this, we understand that obviously he's going to be agitated because he wants to assert that influence. He wants to be the one, since the initiative came from him, to be the one who gains the favors from the patronage relationship that has been built between the president and the so-called fan club. I think that's what is at stake here.
I've seen this story, but I didn't read it. One, because I barely have patience for
with Barrow Fan
young
Club.
people running away in the name of politics. I think there are more productive things to do. But if you go into a fans club, definitely you expect to get something. If you don't get that, you move out. I think that's the whole problem. There is no such thing as being stained. Stained for what? You're already in the fans club. What more could you be stained for?
Yeah.
He
I
said
think that's just an excuse. I think there had to be an internal wrangling, as it happens in all partisan politicking. You expect something to get, you don't get it, you leave. And they go and tell you...
he said another group supposedly from Carnifing came, and this is the group led by Unai Nyang, UDP former chairman, are the people with connivance with some people State House, close to the president, who are also, of course, in the borough political agenda, trying to hijack the main movement. What are they scrambling for? Are they...
It all comes down to the resources that are involved there. Like, why would anybody create a fan club in the name of a president, if not to politic for him, to gain something out of it? And we have seen with President Jammeh's, what do they call, the Green Boys, all of the benefits that have been given to them in terms of the businesses that have been set up, in terms of the employment opportunities that have been created for them. In return, what they have become is sort of a militant for the president, minions that we have seen, for example, very recently, some people coming up to counter the 3A's Jotna. And I assume that this is an initiative from the Borough Fans Club. So it's a give and take in that way, that you stand for the president, you stand for any political figure in that way, in terms of mobilizing votes, in terms of influencing some of or countering some of the decisions that could be detrimental to his political future. And in return, they give him resources. Also, we have seen the Borough Youth Movement, or Borough
Youth for National Development.
For national development.
Which one said they are not political? But this one made no secret of the fact that they are in for the Borough political agenda, the fan club. Which is which? The
Fans Club. So these are different.
Yes.
The Borough Youth Movement and the Fans Club are different.
Well, according to them, the Borough Youth for National Development is not political. That's what they said.
The reality is
but the fan club, that one did not make any secret about their mission is to support the political agenda of Borough. That's what it says. So
well, the reality is, if you are in that office, everything you do is politics.
I don't see how they can be different.
Everything you do either hurts or benefits.
Yeah.
If it's good, it helps build your political capital. If it's bad, it hurts your political base. So if you are in that office,
as far as
everything
you
do,
the two of them are the same.
BYM is a political institution.
I don't think how different they can be.
All of it are political institutions.
And I know that for their part, for everything they do, the expectation is that they're going to be given favors.
Yeah.
So if you as an individual is not getting the favors that you expect, or you have been getting before, obviously, it may come down to
it certainly cannot be because you love the president.
No.
Well, that's what they say.
But it cannot be that.
I mean, it can be love, but I don't think love is what is going to sustain the relationship.
If it's love for the president, if partisan political bases are love for the president, I think Gambia at the start would have done a lot of uncomfortable things, because this was the opportunity that 2017 presented to us. We had took over a lot of challenging circumstances. I think Barrow was right when he said that. We took over a broken economy. That was true. We took over a healthcare system that's failing. We took over an army that had a lot of trust issues with the public.
Yeah.
We took over an incredible debt profile that had been regarded by IMF, all credible financial institutions, as unsustainable. We were effectively, in professional terms, distress. We were poor. Over half of the population was living in poverty. In fact, that's poverty defined by World Bank, say, if you have less than $1. So by all standards of the English language, Gambia was a broken country.
So would it take the national...
And it would have taken uncomfortable decisions to fix these things. But the reason why Barrow went for these cheap decisions was because this is what is comfortable. And he wanted to be president who gets to win another term. But that's what also gave birth to the politicized environment we are in. But that's also what gave birth to BYM and whatever youth movements we are seeing. So it's all politics, and it's all not love for the president or for the country. It's love for self. That's the reality.
Now, let's move on to another story. Barrow met religious leaders. This annual, every Eid al-Fitr, that is, the president meets Muslim leaders. And sometimes the discussions from there can be controversial or at least topical. On the Jammeh, he once said he was going to introduce Sharia, and the backlash to it meant he ate his words, but he always entertained the fact that one day he will impose Sharia. We all remember, of course, in 2015, he said Sharia was going to come, etc. Now, Sharia was mentioned at the Barrow meeting, but okay, quite apart from the fact that he said, he kind of spoke in riddles, which shows that, it's trying to imply that he had made some, he's still referring to the sackings in his cabinet. Perhaps he thinks people are still quite angry about that. He said he has no grudge against anybody in doing that, and he's asking for forgiveness, and he has forgiven everybody. But he said the Ministry of Justice is going to look at the concerns of the Muslim leaders, and some of those concerns is that they want, at least from the Qadi court level, some of these Islamic laws not to be interfered with, and not to be tampered with. And then he assured them that the Minister of Justice is looking into that. But could you see a scenario like that, Sharia law at the Qadi court level?
Well, Qadi is very effective. That's what operates there.
So what's their concern then?
Actually, Qadi is already an established institution in the country. Sharia is already
and it has a jurisdiction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's very clear.
What might be their new concern? They spoke as if
with the conventional.
They spoke as if it is clashing with the normal law.
I think what they wanted was to strengthen the Qadi courts and give them more, because I'm not sure they are going through an end of decentralization process to have Qadi courts everywhere.
I think maybe they wanted to expand its jurisdiction, because as far as I know, it's more on marital issues, inheritance issues, customary issues. So perhaps they want to expand their jurisdiction, but that will be in conflict with the constitution.
Yeah,
because
you can't apply it on governance issues.
Yeah.
And
that's probably their concern. They said they call it interference. They said they don't want any interference from.
Well, you know that Sharia can also live side by side with so-called secular constitution.
But
that's what is happening.
Islamic leaders condemn that. They said it cannot work. You have to be Sharia. If you are going to have a law in a Muslim country, they said it has to be Sharia or nothing else.
Well, it does work.
So I guess the question is Barrow's promise in that regard.
No, Mr. Barrow did not. He did not actually commit himself. So he said all laws, including these matters, are handled by the Ministry of Justice, and that ministry will take on board their concerns. So
that would be a smart response then, because you don't want to piss off the Muslim community. We have seen how religion play a huge part in our political arena. It has been the same with Jawara, the same with Yaya Jammeh. So you make promises, obviously, that is going to buy favors.
He actually he tried to define the role of the religious leaders. He said, basically, they should be symbols of peace, and they should be praying for the nation and for peace.
Yeah. Very recently,
and through them, he attempted to send a message of, like reconciliation if he had offended anybody. Perhaps he still believes that the sackings of his cabinet has hurt some people, and people probably are angry. He said if he didn't do that because he had a grudge against people. He did that for the national interest.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think.
Why do you think he will use an occasion like that to say that?
There is a trend that is.
He normally said that on political meetings or something like
that. Yeah, I think that works well.
Yeah.
If I were him, I would do the same thing. At least, sometimes you need in politics you need adequate support base. Sometimes in politics that's very important. And also, we're such a politicized country right now, and such a divided country. So obviously you need a point where at least you would have, not everybody, but at least some degree of support on your side. In order to do that, you need to reach out to all sides. And right now, the closest political constituency Barrow has to him, difficult to say, but it's UDP.
Yeah, but I think also we have to understand also that most Gambians are religious in a sense, and it has been a trend that politicians would use religious people to tame our most radical sides.
Yes.
And since Barrow came to power, I don't think there have been any president since independence that have been criticized so much, especially on social media platforms by Gambians as Barrow has been.
Maybe that's because of the newfound democracy.
Exactly. But I've also seen that there are videos that are coming, there are audios, video audios that came out from religious people who have been using their platform to preach respect for the president. And this is something that Barrow needs, because respect means accepting whatever the president does and not criticizing as hardly as we have been doing against the president. Okay. So it's nothing different than what President Jammeh used to do, using Imam Fadi and other members of the Supreme Islamic Council. So it's the same trend that is continuing now, using the religious leaders to tame the Gambians. Yeah, whether that is going to work or not is a different case, I think.
All right, we move into another. He was in Saudi Arabia shortly before the Eid prayers. I mean, he flew in from Saudi actually a day or two before the prayers. That was the summit of the OIC. It's now official. We are going to be the host in 2022. But that was another issue that Gambia should lead in the. Is it in the welfare of the
Court of Justice?
Yes, as well
for
as
the Bangladeshi.
Is it the Boma?
No, the Rohingyas.
The Rohingya man. What is expected of Gambia? I mean, Jammeh hinted to this that he want them to come here to settle here as refugees. That was
Jammeh offered resettlement in 2015.
Yeah. What is the difference now? What do they want Gambia to do about it?
Now the difference
to lead in the propagating for their
the reality
return or their...
The reality is Gambia has done that several times in the past.
Yes.
Gambia may not be, in our view, adequately prepared to deal with human rights issues in its own backyard, but it has helped in restoring human rights issues in other parts of the world, including Africa. Remember Banjul Charter?
That was in the past.
Yeah, it's in the past, but we can still do the same thing.
This is more or less building a brand for yourself.
So you mean this? You don't think
it's about Barrow continuing that?
But listen, if
Gambian brand.
What if somebody or a Jammeh fan said, well, this is come on, you have to credit Jammeh for this, for raising Gambia's voice as far as the Rohingyas are concerned.
This is not Jammeh.
Is it not because Jammeh actually spoke so publicly and sympathetically towards the cause of the Rohingyas that the Gambia has been recognized for that?
I mean, we've just spoken about a particular country whose policies will continue right after.
Is it because the Gambia
resigns? So here is the same scenario. If you are in a world community, you want to be recognized for something, as far as you're calling for.
This is Gambia's unique selling proposition.
Gambia has been recognized as a champion for human rights somewhere else, not necessarily here.
That is way back in 22 years ago. Why do you think the world community will still think that?
But the state is still there, so it's not.
Still think that we are back to that level now.
It's not the president; it's the state's foreign policy that they wanted to. It's a brand that they have built for themselves over the years, which Jammeh came to disrupt. And now you have a new government who wants to continue that trend. I think it's a very smart move, especially from the foreign, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Is it not because
absolutely?
If it is not because Jammeh raised the issue, and his country is willing, committed his country's willingness to do, even though that was not practically possible, but his country's voice was very loud in the welfare of the Rohingyas, and it got worse actually. Much less. But is it not because of because we are the next host, so the community thinks
that's not the point. If it's about the host, I think the country with the chairmanship of the OIC, then Turkey, now Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, it was before Saudi, before this last summit, it was Turkey. They would have been the one to take it up. But that's not the point.
So
the point is that it was Gambia that felt the need through its justice minister. And I think Ba also wants to build a profile for himself as the guy who has had the idea, conceived the idea to come to the aid of the Rohingyas. Also, don't forget, we have a justice minister who has had, and we have a chief justice who've had this kind of issues before. He has had his hand in international legal issues before.
So Jammeh's legacy has nothing to do with this?
No, we can also credit Jammeh's legacy, but it still boils down to what Gambia has set itself for to be known in the world. Whether it was Jammeh who started it and somebody else came, they can all be credited for it, but it becomes a brand that Gambia is known for in the global.
And also, I think it's important to distinct the two. What Jammeh offered was a resettlement plan. Program. Jammeh offered them space to come and settle. It's as if Selassie
that was the most radical.
Caribbean come and settle in Shashamani. Now the point is, this one is not a resettlement.
Oh, it's for them to go back.
And it's for them. It's for us to take the Rohingya case to International Court of Justice.
The difference between the two.
And demand for their speedy return and settlement in their community.
And justice for the crimes against the genocide.
Wow, the Gambian will be very bold in that.
Also, the difference between Jammeh's offer and what is happening now is what we saw with Jammeh was reactionary. He was making that offer from his own personal capacity, that he could do it, and Gambia is being offered as a place.
Was he trying to catch
But now this thing has been well thought of and it's been institutionalized, and it is something that can be built upon as a brand for them.
And you know what? Last year, actually by the beginning of the year, I think about 3 months ago, actually before this whole thing come into fruition, you know that the OIC foreign ministers actually met in Gambia.
In the Gambia about
They met at the former Sheraton Hotel. And I was there, and they had discussions as to what is doable. All these countries, OIC, major countries that were in the ad hoc committee were there. Our Chief Justice, who is also, like I said, familiar with this kind of mass genocidal issues, crimes against humanity related issues, because he was in Tanzania, you know, and so
in Arusha for Rwanda.
So you see, these two people, Essa Jallow and Ba, both have an experience with this kind of issues. And them leading Gambia into something of this nature to ensure there is justice for crimes like this.
And you can imagine
it's
what
incredibly monumental. And the Bangladesh, I had an interview with the Bangladeshi foreign minister. They are indebted to the Gambia. And you know, they were telling me, one of their delegates was telling me that this is incredible. Your justice minister is doing an incredible work. And that is true.
Out of the entire Muslim community, if it takes Gambia to bring
small Gambia
Rohingyas' problems into light, and they are able to do something about it, that is something that is going to go through. It's
small
going to
Gambia
be
with no resources.
Huge accomplishment.
Well, then there we go. We will now go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we take one more item on the newspaper review, and then we go to what is trending in the papers before our special guest from the TRRC comes into the studio.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan, or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.
Welcome back to the brunch on Kerfatu. I'm Lamin Cham, joined by Nima Kamara, and our own Badibunka and Mustafa Dabo. Now, next we move on to business news, because all the papers, local and international, were awazed with news about the BBC documentary which alleged that the brother of President Macky Sall of Senegal might have been involved in some bribery involving an oil deal, which also named BP, the British Petroleum, for allegedly not following due diligence in his dealings with the contractor, the guy who won the license to exploit oil in Senegal. This and other matters were, of course, in the media. Almost all of it are allegations. The Senegalese government are under fire, and they came saying that they will go to the bottom of the allegations. What do you make of the allegations? Basically, it is saying that the president's brother had received money, $250,000 in one incident. It was paid to a company owned by him, which was meant to be a tax for Senegalese government, but that ended up into a private citizen's company's account. What do you make of the documentary? And is there any worry for Gambians? Because BP, and I must say these are allegations, it's been accused of not following due diligence in dealing with this company and they have just won license to exploration deals in the Gambia. Do we have anything to worry about?
I think when this news broke, some of us were concerned for two reasons. One is not merely the fact that a neighboring country like Senegal is allegedly undergoing something as scandalous as this, a corruption that is going to be detrimental to the country for many years to come. But also because we know that this particular individual has connections with the Gambian government, especially with regards to a contract that's been awarded to them and which they have sold to BP also. So the same scenario that we are witnessing coming from Senegal might have happened in the Gambia. So what connections are there? What is involved in our Gambian case? I think these are the questions that we are asking. Was corruption involved in our case as well? What implications are there? Because these things are not as clear as what is coming out from Senegal at this point in time.
Mustafa, you have followed oil exploration matters in both Gambia and Senegal quite closely. The guy at the center of this controversy, these allegations, Frank Timmins, is said to be connected with a company which initially...
African Petroleum,
which initially was contracted here by the Gambia government, but that contract expired according to the new government, and they are going to court over that matter. Now, in that angle, the Gambia government is severing relations with a company close to Frank Timmins, but in this new allegations we're hearing from Senegal, BP, which bought shares from Frank Timmins.
He's a bedfellow of Frank
It's a bedfellow of Frank Timmins, who we are severing, whose associates we are severing relations with. Do we have anything to worry about BP's sudden reappearance on our petroleum system? Because remember, BP was here back in the 60s and 70s. But is there anything to fear or any connection between the Senegalese scandal and what we have in the Gambia? Do we have anything to worry?
Well, the reality is when you're talking of extractive industries or these oil issues in Africa, you always have everything to worry about. There are always, the oil deals are signed in secrecy. Most of the times, even citizens don't get to know how much percentage their countries have.
Or they lack the technical knowledge
we
to
were
analyze.
told in the BP contract with the Gambia, we have about 10%.
Yeah.
And also that we're going to have, I don't know, of course, licensing fees will be paid to us.
Yeah.
And that's obvious. But the previous ones we've had, we were told we were having 15%, I think, with the FAR FAR and Petronas deal. But I'm not sure if the connection between BP and Frank Timmins should worry us. I'm not really sure because BP, yes, of course, is in business, has a business interest with Frank, and they're to pay him, according to BBC, money of about 10 billion.
10 billion.
Within a period of, I think, about 40 years or more. But on the other hand, we are in the court with that same African Petroleum that's also affiliated with Frank. And African Petroleum is claiming it has a licensing right in Gambia. But that's also the same oil well that Gambia also gave to BP. A block, A1 block. That's also the block.
So
that's the disputed block that Gambia gave to BP.
Now let me clarify. In this license, BP came alone. It's not connected with Frank Tims or anything.
No.
They are completely on their own. They are on their own there.
Yes.
Could we say that it was a good move to not renew this person's license? Because BBC has exposed him to be an international con artist. He has been convicted of drug trafficking twice.
Well,
he has been known for tax evasion. And currently what is happening with Senegal is truly scandalous. So perhaps we could credit the Gambia government for having a heads up.
Yeah, but the point
in time
also,
where,
perhaps the point is also the documentary, what it does is exposes the repetition of BP.
Yes.
Remember these oil companies, what they do, even in Nigeria, they care less about the environment. They ruin a large area of environmental, they've done an environmental catastrophe in Nigeria. All these bigger oil giants, you remember the Gulf of Mexico oil spills. And so these oil companies have a record of, a track record of recklessness, a track record of being corrupt. You've seen the BBC documentary saying BP has failed to follow due diligence.
And they know throughout all the twists and corners of this deal in Senegal.
Absolutely.
But
So
that's why I'm saying.
But that's why we can rely on our government.
Let's give the benefit of the doubt. The BP deal in Senegal and Gambia completely different. They are on their own here. And what we can join them perhaps is their reputation.
We don't know the details as much.
what we do know is that the company, the oil well that the prospective oil well, I should say,
it's the same one
that BP owns in the Gambia is the one that had been given to African Petroleum.
It's the one that is
the one that been taken to them. It's the one that's disputed currently. So that much we know. And we know also that BP is already in the Gambia.
So wasn't it going to be wise for us to wait for the outcome of the case before we're giving it out to BP?
Which
if
case?
It's the same one. The case against African Petroleum.
Yeah, but the Gambia's own position is that their licenses have expired in 2016 December.
And so the Gambia will...
So if I give you an oil license
for 2016 it expired.
To do either your 36 meets your way or I say you have to start prospecting or you have to start doing the study before this time. Okay, because we don't have the details of the contract that they've had with Gambia government, but there have to be specifications. If I specify a particular period of time and you fail to execute the project within that space of time, I reserve the right to say, well, your license is expired.
So what is African Petroleum contending in court?
So African Petroleum is contending that their licenses have not expired and that they've taken Gambia to court. And in that case, Gambia is also represented by one Mr. Fall. It's a lawyer who is in the US. It's a Gambian. And also a legal firm of Tony Blair.
Sherry Blair,
Tony Blair's wife. So these whole things are sometimes very complex. There are people who believe, remember Tony Blair is also our so-called goodwill ambassador. Who has promised to bring investments to the new Gambia, quote unquote. Because remember, he met Barrow 3 times, I think.
So
in the Gambia, so also, and Tony Blair is also a British.
So it could be.
This is a guy who has.
So his influence may have to do with the coming back of British Petroleum, and not necessarily any Senegalese connection.
Well, I'm saying let's leave it open because as journalists, you don't also want to. Affirmatively say, well, this is how they come to the Gambia, but you want to leave it open so that in case evidence comes to suggest otherwise.
But to wrap this up, let's just focus it on Senegal now. How much do you think, by way of damage, would this do to the reputation of the Senegalese government and the President Sall himself? I mean, he's been known to be anti-graft, he sent people to prison, allegedly, to get them out of the way, before any elections. But then he believed they were involved in corruption. Now that his brother has been named in a corruption scandal. How much do you think this will damage his reputation, especially his international reputation?
Yeah, I think the best thing would be to distance himself completely from his brother. He would have to take drastic measures to disown him by dissociating himself from him. But also we have to ask the question of how involved is he personally?
How much did he know about it?
How much did he know about this? So there is no...
Hardly African presidents
would have their
are unaware of oil deals, because they always have interest in oil.
Yeah. So I'm going.
Even
I'm always,
Barrow does.
yeah.
Even Barrow has interest.
No
I'm always
African,
going to
no
recall
African
that
president
he is in a huge scandal currently, and if as mature as the Senegalese democracy is, we can imagine that this is going to shake his presidency if it turns out to be taken seriously by the Senegalese people.
For me, it's like controlled demolition. If you want the house to fall in a certain way, you have to do it yourself. You don't wait until it's too old and it falls whichever way it likes.
So for me,
now. No. For me, I wouldn't wait someone to come and prosecute my brother, and I know they will. I will do it myself.
Yeah.
So
if he is willing to launch an investigation that is going to implicate his brother, and I
control what happens to him,
like what song or somebody else,
and I control what happens to him.
Yeah.
But if he leaves him, he doesn't control what happens to him.
Yes. Now listen.
So I will go for control.
He could throw him under the bus.
It has international ramifications, not just in Senegal.
It has international.
But
most importantly, Gambia. Remember, Barrow is Macky Sall's Barrow's cousin.
Well,
I mean, look, the reality is Barrow relies on Macky Sall for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we all do. Gambia relies on Senegal for a lot of things.
So even
Mr. Barrow will have to worry about.
So even Mr. Barrow will have to worry about what will happen to Macky.
They have pledged to support our TRRC $1 million.
Yeah.
$1 million to support
Senegal.
Senegal. And that's about to be, I've been told that it's likely about to be disbursed.
Well, we'll have the TRRC.
So, yeah, he may not know.
Yeah, but we may have something.
But the reality is that Senegal is incredibly important in our politics.
Yeah.
And right now, everything we do in the Gambia, economy, security everything
revolves around
affects
Senegal.
Yes. And everything we do, it affects Senegal. Everything Senegal does affects us. And the same oil companies that are in Senegal are the same companies now that are in the Gambia.
That's why I asked the question at the beginning, how do we have anything to worry about the scandal as Gambia?
We do in a lot of ways. Yeah. We do in a lot of ways. And a destabilized Senegal is a destabilized Gambia. But also a destabilized Macky Sall.
Is a destabilized Adama Barrow, you want to say? There you go.
Well, but that's the reality.
All right.
That's the reality.
We'll go for another break, but when we come back, something is trending, I think, and then we will have our guest from the TRRC in between.
Yep.
We'll be back after this short commercial break.
ñoo ñëw ak yéen rek skincare plus nara jàkkaarloo ak yéen waxtaan ak yéen tuuti rek si suñu tube suñu baax emuñ rek ci ay diw waaye comme ni ngeen ko xamee rek dañoo yëngu ci ay tube te yënguwuñ nag si just any tube suñ tube bu nekk 5-star Jesna la 5-star Jesna mooy Jesna bi gën a pire moom la ñoo tube palmaan bi gën a fort moom la ñoo liggéeyee buñ demee Bamako ñun duñ dem ci marché bi rek buub indi déedéet dañ leen a jox suñu specs ne lañ nii lañ ko buggee nay lañ ko buggee fóot bi nangami fóot lañ bugga pour mu mun a set waaw cuubi skincare déedéet doo ko sol mu di la taxa all over the place ci gàttal ñun rek si cuub dara du doy day des not only dañoo cuub but bu la neexee ñu cuubal la ba pare nag ñawal la ñaw fi mu gën a setee nag rek la ñoo fulee ñetti ñawkat lañ am nañ ñawkati simple nga xam ne xoppati rek mbaa def sa taille basse def sa dagit def sa roba amul benn dawme am nañ koo xam ne moo ñoo dawme jigéen den am nañ tamit special ñawkat boo xam ne ñawi góor rek la ñoo defal nga bugg sa his and hers muy korité muy tobaski mbaa muy ngénte muy takka mbaa nga bugg rek def sa yëkka bu baax a baax daagul ba ñëw Skin Care Plus ñu dimbali la tànnal la cuub fam gën a baaxee ndax sa yëkka gën a foor lii nga ne lan xoolal bi takka la Skin Care fii la fu léegi yéen tey we're not all about skin we are skin care and the plus does come in so many different ways. cuubantu wuñ de dañ cuub bam saf-saf
Welcome back to the brunch. I'm Lamin Cham, sitting in for Sergio Brito. Now we go to our next segment, which is what is trending on the internet and social media. And to do that for us is Nyamasada Camera. Nyamasada, what has been trending or is trending?
So a sad news broke
Wow.
on Facebook. I think it was yesterday that a passenger van collided with a truck somewhere around Pirang on the Trans-Gambia Highway. And unfortunately, 6 people lost their lives and several were injured and hospitalized. I think
If you ask me, speeding will be behind the cause of the accident.
So I think there are information coming out that one was overtaking the other. And we know that several reasons are responsible for why such accidents would happen that cost many lives. And what do you think are some of these reasons, or what could have been responsible, and what remedies do we need to take as a nation to address these things? Because especially that place seems to be a hotspot here.
Yeah. Well, I know one thing. Speeding is responsible for all or exacerbates major accidents when they happen on this Trans-Gambia district.
It's usually free, so people do not
just
really mind what's going to happen.
the issue about this this long journey, you know, in the Gambia, we don't have dual carriers. As happened in Senegal. In Senegal, in the city, Dakar, where there's dual carriers and many other routes, hardly accidents happen. Now, what these countries, both us and Senegal, should do is to invest in highways that stretches, you know, to the provinces. We should invest and ensure, because there's always space and there's no concern about compensation, to make them dual carriageways, because that minimizes accidents. Head-on collisions like this, overtaking, etc., are going to be very, very minimal when you have dual carriageways. And I'm sure what happened in Faraba is, like you said, it's always what happened, especially on the Senegalese road. When the drive is long, the drivers tends to, you know, to take high speeds in the way because they feel comfortable. You know, and this is where accidents happen. When an accident happens and you are on a terrific speed, it's very difficult to control. Unlike when you are at a reasonable speed.
Another reason.
Speeding is a problem, and lack of respect to safety rules is also another problem. And these things have to be enforced by the police. They are doing their but I think more checks should be done with the, you know, with the capacity of drivers, their commitment or ability to respect safety rules. This was supposed to be a band, if I had the story well. Where no overtaking,
band that when you're driving, you don't see an incoming
Yes, you don't see the incoming car because
you were trying to overtake someone.
Yes.
So you're trying to overtake someone, you call
which is safety violations and stuff like that.
That happened. Also, you made a comparison between our roads and Senegalese road. Even when you're going through Casamance, you see that in certain communities, every community you come to, there are speed limit signs that are put up. So you know that you are not supposed to drive beyond this. Pirang is already, especially the highways, are relatively congested areas.
The trouble is they don't respect these speed limits. That's the problem.
But are they also visible there? Are they marked?
I can see 50 kilometers somewhere.
What I do is, if you are overspeeding, everyone who rides with me will tell you that I don't like overspeeding. If you overspeeding, if you are my friend, I tell you to slow down. If you're not my friend, I tell you to stop. I leave. That's what I do. I don't risk my life for it. I mean, some of these drivers, even when they are going right here, would just be overspeeding.
Yes, even the short distance. Speeding is a problem in our country.
It's really
speed limit also are not obeyed.
Yeah, also you don't even need training to have a license. I can tell you that for free.
That's not a problem.
People have cars and they learn on the road. It happens. You learn and then later get a license.
It's like acquiring a car means automatically become a driver. When it should have been the other way around, acquiring the license before becoming the driver.
And you are not vetted. Like you are not vetted. Even when you are some guy with psychological problem, no one cares. They just give you the license. You go and kill people on the road. People kill people on the road and kill themselves.
Six precious lives have been lost. And for an accident that's
and this does not have to
something
happen.
That's avoidable.
You know, often we say God is the one who did it, but God doesn't do this because God has given you.
I think that there is also
people should get punished for this kind of thing.
I don't want us to sound blasphemous, but this is our society. Whatever happened is God will. Even if we get out here, somebody shoot us, you
wouldn't be surprised.
They will mourn us for a day and say it's God's decision.
Families will come and say we are forgiving the driver and he gets away with it. And then he goes back doing something.
So the reality is God doesn't have people who comes down on earth to do things on his behalf.
So that was a sad story. And another thing that has been trending on social media, especially early on during the week, was rumors that came out that the tourism minister Ahmad Bah has been fired.
With two other people, right?
Yeah, it turns out that wasn't true.
Cham's good friend.
I don't understand
my
where
worry was that. You see, my concern was
Cham's very good friend is
my concern was
Sankara Ibrahim.
I didn't realize that there was such a strong rumor. I didn't know that the rumor was such strong that it would warrant
it would have been
newspaper story.
Well, it was not that super strong.
Because I haven't heard it from any other source.
It was
all over social media.
Well,
it
was on social media primarily.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it was such a strong rumor as to warrant somebody to.
Well, but the government reacted anyway.
The question is, where did it
come from? Which government? I mean, no,
I haven't seen the press release from the information minister.
The story quoted the information minister as to have said he didn't hear. It is just a story. I mean, he was just hearing it and he couldn't have happened. Let the reporter question the people named in there. Are you telling me subsequently the ministry came with a statement? government?
The ministry came with a statement to say these people were not fired. Ibrahim Sankare was not fired. Ami Bojang was not fired. Tourism minister was not fired. They did.
But what I'm trying to say is there wasn't a rumor that really went round so wild to have attracted. Of course I am, but you know, what I do is before I put anything to the conventional media, I make sure that this now is becoming to not just a rumor.
But you are not on the social media like any one of us.
I am. I heard about
the old school type.
It was brief.
I know that I don't follow religion. I don't live on the internet like you people do. But then, I don't think it was such a strong rumor to have warranted me to do something on the conventional media.
It would have been
because otherwise every day you write things that you hear people just. I had this. I
would be interesting if actually that happened, because that would mean the end to the coalition as we know it.
Cool, sir.
Really.
Are you talking about Hamad Ba and not the other? Not the civil servants.
Hamad Ba is the most interesting one in this.
Hamad is a political.
Okay. There was something
that is
a political appointee.
You didn't follow also something. There's something that I'm not encouraging your area, but there was something about the IEC and the NCP. The other half of NCP is calling for the ban to be lifted by the IEC.
That conflict and stuff.
That also trended on the media.
But this is a problem.
How
do you lift the ban? And
but if somebody is who is now the NCP leader then? As far as the IEC is concerned, nobody.
But who is even NCP? Except that my father was sadly was NCP until he died.
That's it for one.
It's just the leaders and their families.
So you know.
No.
We're moving on. That was it for what was trending on social media this week.
That was very sad, and our condolences from Kerfati to the people who have lost their lives. And we hope that the police will do a good job on these investigations.
And we hope that the people also help them, because the police complain that when they forgive the driver, even though they are not in position to do that, it becomes difficult for them to have witnesses against this driver when they take them to court.
One of them nearly killed us here. Last week.
So the bottom line is how to call it, speeding cause accidents or exactly, and they must be stopped. Now, we move on to the last part, and not the least, of course. That's the most important part. We have the Truth, Reconciliation, Reparation Commission resuming on Monday. We are told they will continue with November 11th, the murder, well, apparently murder now, of late Usman Koro Sise, finance minister then, and the military junta, as well as the 1996 ambush at the Denton Bridge of the UDP convoy. These are the major things we are told that the TRRC will touch on when they resume on Monday. Now, they've been away for 40 days, maybe because of Ramadan and other things. Even that is proved controversial in some quarters, because some people say, why should you stop for the Ramadan and not for Lent, when it's all equally just a fasting period? But that put aside, we have Essa Jallow, who is a media specialist at the commission. Mr. Jallow, welcome.
Thank you. Communication specialist.
Communication specialist. You put a lot of premium on accuracy.
In Kiang they put,
I know the TRRC
in Kiang is different.
No, I mean, the TRRC put a lot of premium on accuracy. So, not media specialist, but communication specialist.
Yes.
Good. I don't know how you're going to communicate if you don't use the media. But then, there you go. What have you been doing for 14 days? People have been waiting. Some people say, comments, without TRRC, my day is not done. People have, taken TRRC to be, a soap opera, some
but
sort of.
That's what it was.
No matter how emotional it gets, what have you been doing 40 days now?
A lot more than the soap opera we are talking about, because that is the end part that the people see. So there's a lot of things that goes, in the background before one witness comes to face the legal team. So, as you know, the TRRC is divided into various sections, and all these sections work together in trying to bring witnesses. And other people are there also who support witnesses in this process. So it's a long process. For example, there has to be research and investigation, which cannot be just rushed, because we are trying to seek for the truth. And in doing so, we have to be very, very careful. So what happens is, first, we welcome people who come voluntarily to register. And then we also follow up those with researches. For example, we have a team of researchers. Some of them are interns who would go in and research media archives and stuff like that about stories that have been told. So we compare these things, and it is forwarded to the investigation. So investigations continues even after after testimonies. This investigation continues because what happens is a witness's statement, his testimony, and what is the truth are completely different things. So the researchers will go and try to piece the things together to see where the gaps are. If there are gaps, sometimes some of these witnesses are called back again and say, well, this and this doesn't actually add up. So all the witnesses' testimonies also clarify certain things. So a lot more things have been going on in the background than just what people think is a soap opera, and which is very, very dangerous now because people are seeing it as a show pastime, which we don't intend to, although it's happening like that. We also understand it has been hijacked some airspace with some of the networks. Everybody has to tune into the TRRC. We wanted that because we wanted everything to be on the public space. So there's this transparency, everybody knows what is happening. So tomorrow when the report comes out, then we are judged by what has been happening. But a lot more things go in the background, as I say.
I know you keep a lot of what you do close to your chest until the time is right for you to disclose them. But are we expecting a high-profile witness like we had in Sanabairo Sabale?
Yeah, sure.
Big fish is lined up.
Yeah, big fish are lined up because you can see people have been mentioned, and anybody who's been mentioned along the line is being alerted. Is being sent a notice of advice mentioned in the so they are invited. If we think that it is really necessary for them to come, they will be asked to come. You know, against their will if they refuse to come. If they don't, then they have. So all of this we are having responses, which we cannot disclose now because these are at their initial stages, because it is something about investigation, about legal issues. So it's a lot of things that are being careful about. And secondly, you know, some of these alleged perpetrators, in the event of contact with alleged perpetrators, also create victims around themselves. So you see, it is very, very complicated because some of these people have committed, are accused of committing crimes, which some of their close relatives don't even know about. So if these things come out in the public space, you realize that then it creates a spiral of victims along the line, and those people have to be taken care of. You see, so because it is not the intention to hurt people, but is to seek the truth so that we can avoid it. We can avoid impunity, we can avoid future human rights violations. So it's ongoing, and anybody who has been mentioned, the rest is what is going to be informed and is going to be asked to come and testify.
Now, the TRRC, I just want to exhaust. I just want to exhaust my
just a follow-up question to what you've asked currently. Without mentioning any names, have there been any big fish that you have consulted and they are willing to come forward as Sana Sabale did?
I'm not sure about willing, that I wouldn't be able to say, but I know that all those who have been mentioned in the category of Sana Sabale have been one way or the other informed about it, and efforts are being made to bring them on. There are difficulties around it because, you know, these are high-profile witnesses, and there are a lot more things that people that we need to take care of before they come, as in with the Sana. For Sana's case, it was very, very sweet. He was very, very cooperative, and that made things very, very easy for the TRRC.
Okay. One of the things that actually leaves a lot of vague areas that people, in their understanding of the works of the TRRC, is your contention that reparations can come in different ways. This has been interpreted as maybe the TRRC is avoiding monetary compensation, which many people expect, maybe because there is no money, or maybe TRRCs want to limit its reparations to just merely supplying remedies, for example, medicines for people affected. Or what do you do with somebody who lost a relative? Well, you don't need medicines for that person, or you may not just stop at paying school fees for his orphans, etc.
Yeah, you cannot. That is priceless. You cannot pay for that.
Yeah,
if life is lost, you can't pay for that.
Yes, I'm not saying you bring back the man.
Yes.
Or kill another person to get him. But what I'm trying to say, like, when you say, okay, for people who lose their lives, okay, we're reparating, financial reparation, we'll give, let's say, $5 million. For people who were tortured, okay, $2 million. For people who disappeared without trace, $3 million, etc., etc. Now, these are the kind of things people expect. Like recently in the media, there were reparations for from the ECOWAS court. Of course, this is international for journalists who each went away with how much?
$1 million.
$1 million. GPU, you confirmed it. $1 million. Now, when it was said that the TRRC will reparate, this, whether you like it or not, are the expectations of the victims. If they are hearing you saying that, okay, we will buy medicines for the school and pay school facilities, they thought that you're downplaying, or perhaps you want to limit yourself to that, or you simply don't have money.
No, maybe that's a misunderstanding. You see, reparations will come in different forms. Like I said, you cannot put price tags on people's life or their sufferings. You cannot pay that. It's not possible, right? Because you cannot relieve that pain they have already endured in the past. So there are no price tags for anything. What we have now, we have a reparations committee. Within the TRRC commissioners as well. So this reparations committee will look at these cases case by case, and will evaluate and see what is supposed to be the reparations for that. We have complementary reparations, not reparations, but help from other individuals. For example, I can tell you now, over $500,000 from outside the TRRC have been extended to victims, supporting victims. These are individuals who contributed to GoFundMe and others who have directly supported these. But that is not reparation, but that is a sort of help. So the medical aspect that we are talking about is these things can't wait. You know, the TRRC will go up to 2 years. If somebody is suffering from a medical condition and then you wanted that person to wait until the time for the committee to sit down and decide on a reparation for that person, that person might die or might be disabled by then. So those who are in dire need of medical assistance are being assisted as a form of remedy, you know, before the final decision comes in, because that cannot wait. And that is being done in collaboration with others. For example, there's a medical board and there are other institutions that come in to help. For example, institutions like Buffalo, like SOS, will take referrals. Things like this are happening. But that is not what is supposed to be, because reparation has not been decided yet. So nobody can say that they are going to give you a cup of tea because you have suffered. But there are certain things that are going to be collective. For example, let me give you an example. The victims of April 10/11 have had a list of demands. So if those lists of demands, for example, they are not unachievable, if that is achieved, that could be a reparation for them, because, for example, they are calling for a holiday, they are calling for a monument, they are calling for all sorts of things. Those things are achievable things. If that has bbeen done, then that can be a form. I'm not saying that is what is going to happen, but I'm just giving you an example. For example, if a monument is created and all sorts of things, and all other things, you know, you can see that if people who lost their dignity just because they have been accused of being witches, you know, that being clarified that these people aren't witches, they have just been, you know, victimized for certain things. That is something to bring back their dignity. So reparations will come in different forms, but nothing has been decided as of now, because the committee is sitting on it and is looking at it. So this is why we have the short breaks that we have. Every 3 weeks we have a break. So the commissioners can sit down, look at all these hearings, the investigators go on, the researchers and the victim support unit. All of these things go on at the same time. Because if you take, like, for example, 3 weeks for one witness, you know, in the week you have about 3-4 witnesses at least in a week. So you realize that when the sittings take a lot of the efforts that is being done. So this is why we need these breaks. And this is the time that we also sit down and reflect.
Mustafa?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go to the basics. I mean, Monday when you resume, I understand you will be continuing with November 11th. Yes. Is this going to go into some of the perpetrator soldiers who have been mentioned to have been involved in the killings, or you bring in victims now?
Probably. You see, you know, the team has gone beyond November 11, as in the Korosisa incident.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that the chapter of even 1994, July 22nd is closed. If new evidence comes in, then that is also going to be. But then we'll still be moving forward. Now, like you see, this other session that is coming, we will see a new thing that is going to be the hearing for institutional hearing starting with the media. That is the new thing in that. But because there are other things that still need to be clarified, other witnesses are coming in, or other evidences are coming to light, people will be invited. So it is not restricted to either perpetrators or victims. These are people of interest, people who would come and clarify certain things, or people who would connect the dots, because people have been mentioned and that the links are not there. Those witnesses will surely be invited, and then those things will be clarified. So that does, and even if we go beyond the media hearings, we go into the next thing. That doesn't mean the media hearings is over, because if things new comes in. For example, if I am So if I testify and happen to lie and something else comes forth and decided what I have said here is connected to something else, that I might be called back to clarify. Some people might be called back, not necessarily appearing before the commission, but to clarify certain things that have been written
in the background.
Yes. Because first, when a witness comes in, a statement is taken. And after that statement is taken, a research is being done, and then the person is heard. Sometimes what the person says during hearings and what is written are very different. And this is why sometimes you can see the contradiction there. You see, so even if the person is adamant that has changed what he has said before, there has to be a good reason for that. So all of those things go on. So it's a lot of things, very, very complicated way of finding out these things.
When does the media hearing begins? Is it
institutional hearing?
Institutional hearing.
This session is supposed to start.
It's planned.
It is planned, and I know that the GPU is being contacted, and that is being done. Probably during the course of this week, there might be a submission, and then it is going to be looked at. If it can't fit because of the backlog of work.
Are there specific institutions that you've identified that should appear?
Well, I don't know what is in the GPU statement, but there are individuals who will surely submitted their their statements, and that is going to be looked at. If it is necessary for them to come, and they are willing to come and testify, they are going to be heard. So it would depend on
besides GPU, are there other institutions?
Yes, sure. You remember one of the witnesses was told that he was going to come back because there's going to be institutions in the prison, the police, and all of those things will happen. Because what is happening is we look at what has the hearings. We are looking at what has caused the change of government, the way the government is changed. So it will look at where the failures are, where the negligence were, and where the mistakes were made. So that recommendations will be made. To government to see how do we avoid such a situation. So it's all going to be a big document that is first going to say, okay, this is exactly what had happened, this is why it had happened, and this is what we could do to avoid such occurrence. So this is going to be the trend.
Yeah. So my question is, you have 40 days to not just work behind the scenes, but also to reflect on everything that has happened since the beginning. What is the biggest take from the feedback that you've gotten from the public and everything that has just been happening? What is your biggest
for the public, the feedback is they missed us, which we understand.
That's true.
But we had meetings. The United Nations Peace Building Fund. They were here. They came to us, and we had a conversation with them because they are our biggest patrons. They are funding the most of the things at the TRRC. So we had a fruitful conversation with them, and each unit presented their concerns, the success areas, the challenges. So we put it to them, and it was a very, very good conversation. And then we are expecting some more support coming in. We've also collaborated with other organizations, where we organize certain workshops where we had a needs assessment thing, and that speaks for itself. What do we need? So currently, it was only 3 units that have been checked. That is the victim support unit, the research and investigation, and I remember the third one. That was also checked. So we are preparing that. So, and also we are working also on a huge database where we can organize everything. So we will be able to work in a way that the internal communication will be very, very easy among us. And then we want to digitize all of this, and we also working on archiving all of these materials. You remember the number of amount of hours of video material we have, and audio and kind of.
If somebody if somebody goes outside and he do in his or her own way, without your permission or whatever, do a book, a documentary or piece of work on the TRRC based on what he or she watched on the media, and do it, what would he be breaking the law?
No.
Do you have any copyright laws in it?
No, this is free information. Remember, what is happening there is
in the public.
It is in the public domain.
Public domain. You see, this is free. This is free.
So somebody sitting behind, trying to do a documentary, following you and doing the documentary. Immediately you finish, even before you do anything, he sells this documentary around the world. He's not committing copyright law violations.
No, if you remember, even before I went to the TRRC, I raised this question to the executive secretary. Remember when we had that editors forum?
Exactly.
And whether the material is going to be free after this thing.
After.
You see, the reason why, in fact, this whole media thing, that controversial media award that we gave to Cayman, is because we wanted to share the information among all the media. If it gets to you, then it becomes your material already because you're broadcasting. We are not paying for you to broadcast.
Okay.
So what we are doing, we are creating this material and giving out for free. The reason why we had it was because we wanted everybody to have access to it. Although when these materials have been done, actually there are going to be credit that this material is from the TRRC. But what amazes me, like somebody once asked the question, why is somebody not actually starting to write anything about this thing? There's a lot of stories to write about.
Absolutely, yes.
You know, but we are not seeing anything.
Now maybe some people might just be waiting until the whole process has come to some point before that. But I'm sure that some people who have started writing things down about these things.
Yeah, because
no doubt about
a lot of things have been written before the TRRC.
Yes.
And with the advent of the TRRC, we can see where fabrications have been made or mistakes or errors.
Or some clarifications.
So people can go back and do pieces on this thing. It's free information. This is why the media have full access to the hearings.
But again, every day TRRC is being summarized in newspapers, 8 sessions.
Yeah. It's been summarized.
Every session.
Well, there are people who do an individual analysis of the evidence of the witnesses' example. But then this has nothing to do with what the position on the findings of the
that is dangerous. What is
the
dangerous here is people drawing conclusions as early as now. Just because a witness comes in and makes statements and says things and everybody says, oh, this is what had happened. That is dangerous. What anybody can do right now or is supposed to be doing right now is gathering all these information and do further research. You know, by the end of the TRRC, then you would know, okay, X, Y, and Z have said it had happened this way, but actually the truth is that.
Yeah. Now,
or this is what is close to the truth.
Yeah. Another worry that happened because like you said, your team were on radios and sensitized. I think there are radio shows that's sponsored or organized by you, and they were on radio. Now, the concern people will have, especially after Sana Sabali's testimony, is that well, this TRRC is now becoming to be like, if you come and tell the truth, even if you admitted killing 100 people, you'll walk free.
No.
Well, you know, that's a misunderstanding. When Sana came here, admitted killing 11 people, and the TRRC said, well, as far as our dealings with you is concerned, at the moment you are a free man, what the people expect is immediately after this, he would have been pounced on and locked up. But TRRC is saying that, well, as far as we are concerned, we are not under arrest. Even though it must be said, the lead counsel said the law will take its course in due course when they do their recommendations. People still believe that, well, anybody can walk in here, just by the mere fact that you made yourself available, you are a free man.
Yeah, it is difficult to control how people will react to certain things being said or how people understand it outside. What is clear now is no decision has been made about anybody. So for now it is testimonies. What the TRRC is actually seeking for people to come and tell the truth. If they are found not telling the truth, then we have the Minister of Justice, they will watching and they will pounce on you. It is not the TRRC who is pouncing on you, and that has also caused some controversies. But it has given a signal to people that this is no joke. You cannot come here and you think that this is all a show, I'll just come and lie and then everything will happen and nothing is going to happen to me, I'll walk free. But then it doesn't also necessarily mean that you'll come and then admit to killing people or doing violating people's rights.
And become a star out of that.
And become a star and walk away. No, because a decision has not been made yet.
That is why.
Yes, because that's just impunity. This is what we are going. That is what we are trying to avoid. Yes. So what is the point in bringing people committing crimes and then walking free? Then the whole thing is going to be a farce, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for now, nobody can tell you what is going to happen until a decision is made. Like I said, we had all these other committees. We have a reparations committee, we have a reconciliation committee, we have an amnesty committee.
So now, is it then...
And we have a human rights committee.
Is it then a valid point, or is it nonsense for politicians, as some have said, that people who have been mentioned by the TRRC and they are serving should step aside? If people who came and admitted killing, you know, are allowed to go away because nothing has been decided on them, is it not also fair that people who have been mentioned and they are serving and nothing has been decided on them to continue to serve it? Some quarters and some politicians and some quarters said they should step aside. What is the position of TRS on that? Or you don't have any position on that?
No, we don't have a position. The problem is, what is the government's position on that?
Yeah, government's
The problem is now government is actually caught up in a situation where nobody actually anticipated that.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the government orders or the general orders where you will find what would happen to somebody who has committed human rights violation and is working in the civil service, or what is going to happen to him. Yeah. Maybe if you look at the general, you'll never find it there. So this is the problem. Now it is left to those institutions to decide what they think, what they are standard operational procedures. If that is what they think that should be done, well, if they do it, that is not TRRC's business. What TRRC wants is people to come in and give testimonies and evidences so we can find out what the truth is and know what to do with the truth.
So when the immigration sacked Kanye, or ask him to step aside, or if the army put aside Elijah Martin, if they do that, because they have been mentioned, that is the army's ethics and their own, exactly. That has nothing, it didn't come from the TRRC.
No, it didn't come. If the Ministry of Justice also decided to do anything,
it's not
that is the Ministry of Justice, not the TRRC.
But the witness tampering issue, that comes from the TRRC.
Yeah, no, witness tampering thing, you see, the TRRC itself does not prosecute people, although it has the powers of a higher court, but if TRRC realize that, okay, this is necessary for action to be taken, the TRRC will ask the court or will ask the police to do, and from there then they'll take up. You know, so because the TRRC is not a court of law, will not try you and do all those things to you. But what the TRRC will do, will recommend that, okay, we have realized that X have committed a crime by not telling us the truth or by deliberately misleading the TRRC, or is refusing to cooperate with the TRRC, and then the law will take its course. For example, security issues. You know, the TRRC also grappled with those issues, but it is not the responsibility of TRRC to secure. That is the state's responsibility. So if we think that, for example, a witness has security issue and everything, this thing is going to be forwarded to the Inspector General of Police, and they will provide security for that. So that's how it works.
When you invite high-profile sources, so-called star witnesses like Sana, it takes a lot of logistics, doesn't it? Yes. And it costs the commission, I think. How do you, what does it involve?
Well, it depends on what type of witness it is. For example, number one, if a witness is a high-profile witness, first of all, even though the person might be an alleged perpetrator, that person's security is very, very important. That person's dignity is very, very important. So all of these things are taken into consideration. If that person needs some logistical things, for example, transportation and everything. For example, when Sana or Kanye came to testify, they are not left alone by themselves to just testify and go on their business. No. These people are kept by the TRRC. We have our safe areas.
Safe houses.
Safe houses where we keep these people.
Security.
And not even me know where they go.
I hope your safe houses are not in quotes, illegal detention centers.
So those things are really, really important, because you imagine somebody comes in and admitting to committing a crime, and the person the crime is being committed to is around, or his close relatives are around, and then you just go on and say that the TRC, oh, okay, you are free for now, and then you go out, that person might attack you. So those things need to be taken care of. So
you give security protection, you take them to security safe places, safe houses, you offer them food.
Yeah. And it's boarding and lodging.
So it's expensive.
Depending on what
it's expensive. It is expensive. To bring a star witness.
I have liberty to explain how much you have spent so far.
I don't have the figures on me, but it's a lot.
Do you know about potential money coming your way?
No.
50 million. Is it $1 million?
Well, they already, I mean, Senegalese have been told by the Justice Minister, and I think the Senegalese ambassador also confirmed to me on the phone that Senegal also wants to contribute about close to $1 million to support the TRRC. We know Qatar has already contributed to supporting our justice.
How many millions?
Well, Qatar has contributed $3 million, but that is partly for TRRC because it's bulk for transitional justice program. Yeah. And even the UN Justice Support, which is I think $10.1 million, that's also partly because it's for transitional justice.
That's mainly for the
overall transitional.
What's going to TRRC?
Yeah. Well, what I can tell you is our biggest supporters are the UNTJ, UN Transitional Justice. TRRC also is helping a lot. Even right now they are...
That's the Christian Council?
Christian Relief Service, Catholic Relief Service.
Catholic,
yes. They are helping. They've helped us in training, also in peace building efforts, and also in the process of actually raising funds for us. What we also did with them is their communications, one of their communications directors came, and then we interviewed certain witnesses, and then shared the story among their partners, so they see what is happening at the TRRC. So they are actually gathering support for us in that time. But money that is coming in, I can't confirm that. As you know, the whole money that is coming in for this transitional justice, there are percentages for all other aspects
of transitional, just like CRC.
Yes. So, but like I said, the TRRC is unique in a way that it is the only truth commission that has the powers to pay reparations.
Yeah.
So where there is money available, the TRRC has the right to, or the mandate to.
In other words, you don't need Justice Minister logging on you in your backyard. You just,
we don't need
you
that.
just say we'll
but
pay
when
this
money comes
and pay.
in, for example, the challenges that we have sometimes, these monies are mentioned, and before they arrive, it takes a lot of time.
Takes a lot of time.
For example, when money comes in from international agencies, they wouldn't deal directly with the TRRC. Instead, this money is going to go to government, and in that case, it is the Ministry of Justice. The Ministry of Justice doesn't have they are not the accountants of the government. It goes to central bank,
finance minister,
so
etc.
you can see all that process that goes. So
the red tapes.
It takes time, and some of the things that we would need to do takes time. For example, my own programs that I'm doing, I have a backlog of things that I need to do in the fourth quarter, and this is carried on to the next quarter. Because what happens is the way money is trickling in. Sometimes when it comes in, and then we realize, okay, let's try to do this thing first, then this other one. So my unit are supposed to be doing a lot of sensitization in different forms, because what happens is the communications you work with all the other units, because we do outreach. Reconciliation is mainly out talking to people, like you see during the Ramadan they were in mosque doing iftar. The intention is not to give people food, but to talk to people about what do they think, how do we go about our reconciliation. So I remember when we went to a certain mosque, one imam said, you see these audios that are going around are our problems, we need to see.
We need to see them.
So there are a lot of things that are happening, and some imams actually or some religious leaders actually felt bad about not actually looking the other side of things happening in this country before, and highlighting them and thinking that, well, this is time for us to now talk to people, for them to understand it is important that we move forward. You see, but people are complaining more about what has happened in the past. Reparations, about justice, all in the past. Now, but we need to work on what is supposed to be the future, because if we don't work with it now, then this is why we have a children's and youth unit, which is working with universities, with tertiary educations. So we go around schools and talking to them. In fact, the last time our youth coordinator went to Gambia College, when new graduate teachers were graduating, about 600 of them, and talk to them. So because these are people who are directly in touch with children. So these are things that will happen, and this is going to be, that is part of our Never Again campaign, because Never Again is supposed to be the legacy of the TRRC. We cannot just go through all of this thing only for it to come again. Although we know it has happened in other places, so but these are things that we need to.
Well, it's the politicians who bring chaos, isn't it? So you should target them too.
Yeah, so I think we've kept you for too long, but I want to talk to you about one important thing. Everything in relation to TRRC is important, but particularly about your mandate. There is one aspect which talks about exhumation. And not knowing about the whereabouts of disappeared victims, and also to exhume them and also return their remains to their families. We know you people have helped in the exhumation of November 11 victims. Not all of them though, 7. But that process is still ongoing, isn't it?
Yes, the exhumation part is very sensitive. One, because it deals with families, and it deals with people that have just disappeared in thin air, and trying to find them, trying to identify them. So what we first did was to talk to the victims' families and explain to them that the process that we are going to go through, not to raise their hopes, but to tell them what the process is going to be and how they can help the TRRC. One, in identifying them, and then not for them to also expect that we might go to find to try to find these people, and we may not even find them. You know, so they should be prepared psychologically for that. So we were doing that in collaboration with our victim support. Like we know we have 2 psychosocial support workers who work with victims as well, pre and during this thing. So we went ahead and did that. Before that had happened, we had actually took witnesses to the sites, and they had pointed different locations to us, and we just went on and digging. So we dug for so long, and we couldn't find anything. And until we, the last minute, the day that we actually thought that we were going to dig for once and then
call
it off, somebody just came and said, try this play. We tried it and we saw. So we got 7 and we didn't see the 4. That is still going to be. The other bottleneck that we have, we don't have the right equipment to do this thing, because you can see some of the bones were broken.
Because we were digging with a big...
that is what we have for now. So although we were, not much of it is destroyed, because we were able to find a lot of the bodies, all how they have been buried. That is one part. So there are other sites within the Yundumbarak that we also tried. For example, the Almamo Mane and Sergeant Dumbaya. Was it Sergeant or Kopul? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, Dumbaya.
Dumbaya, where they were buried.
Were they also set up buried there?
Not the same site.
Same site.
But these are different incidents.
Right,
so
yes,
we tried it.
We
tried it. We are unsuccessful for now. That effort is going to continue, like I said. And the other bottleneck that we have, the whole of the Gambia has 1 qualified forensic archaeologist. So you can see the amount of work that is going to be on him. And
the policeman.
Yes.
To identify.
Not only to identify, but the expertise to be able to do these things. Because
and the identification process
is
done outside of the Gambia.
What I was worrying is, how do you know whose leg is who? I know with scores you know it's 7 because you saw scores, and
yeah, for example,
each score represents 1 person. You know.
If you look at when the remains were exhumed, if you look at the pictures closely, you will see, for example, a ring. You will see some pans. You know, so these are things that people can identify.
Who would identify?
You know, remember we have wives.
Yeah,
you know, we have wives around. They will be able to identify pans.
Is that enough to lean on?
No.
But it's basic to get to a conclusion that this is likely.
We have most of their teeth, most of them intact. And you know, these are important for DNA tests, for forensic examinations.
The
but
bones.
this is going to be done here. Right now, the remains are being kept somewhere safe, where these things are going to be examined, and then they will be identified.
As they did to Solo Sunday.
I don't think I don't think those facilities are in this country. But then those things will be done.
They mostly done in Gambia. They mostly do it in Brazil and South Africa.
Fly them all.
Solo's own was done in Brazil.
Where are they now? They are the Ministry of Justice.
No, these things, when you have them, you surely keep them in a mortuary. You don't.
Yeah, what are they under whose custody now?
But at the mortuaries, because
under which authority?
Oh, but if it's gone to the mortuary, it's under the Ministry of Health.
No, justice.
Well, I think both of them have a stake in this.
I cannot tell you that. I cannot exactly tell you. But
you are the one who removed them from the bag, so they got missing.
What I can tell you, they are kept safe.
Okay.
So, finally, just do you have other list of people you trying to exhume?
I don't have a list per se, but investigators have alerted us that there may be other areas that we will be looking. For example, we don't know where Chief Man is. So if for example,
evidence comes up,
yes, if evidence comes where Chief Man is, there's going to be reason to exhume.
There are a lot of orders.
As an example,
a lot of orders, the cases that have been to the police, the phonies, etc.
Unless those who have, for example, those who have been identified already and been buried, no, so those are, but those just disappeared. So we don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't say we don't know, because the investigators would release information on a need-to-know basis, not just release.
So on the area of of political propaganda, like how do you manage that? Because we know TRRC is a serious business. You're investigating human rights violations, but also you touching unintentionally, I must say, on something that it's sort of a controversial issue, because it touches on a political figure who leads a political party, and it's seen to be against that political party. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, we don't involve in politics. What we do is we try to work on issues that are part of our mandate. For example, seeking the truth. If it's something to do with a political party, for example, what happened to UDP, then we go into that. But the reaction of the political party and what people think about it, that is not our area.
What unintentionally, you sometimes have things you do politicized, like you exhume people. This was a highly emotional event. I was at the Indom Barracks several times, and I've seen how much work was put into it. But then people come out, bones came out, and some say, no, these are not bones. They look at them. They manufactured this one.
Yeah, that is a difficult part because, as you know, I was the one who actually provided those pictures. Yeah. It's a difficult decision to bring them out because one, we cannot tell people, oh, we have found them. If we don't show them, they say, where are they?
Yeah, that's right.
And you are going to ask the journalist will go ask me where are they? And if we are saying this is a public thing, so anything that we do, then people should know about it and we should show some evidence. There are questions being asked, but it is not for me to answer those questions. I have seen a lot of them. Why are they born so clean? Why all sorts of things are happening? So these are things that I am not in a position to answer.
So naturally, you find yourself in the center of things, and you want to serve the entire country. But you serve in the entire country, but you're touching the nerve center of.
What we have done with that, if you can see,
the nature of the work.
Yes, in fact, you know, when it all started and we were on it, we didn't see people like you were asking every day what is happening. When we saw this thing, it took us about 2 days before we released it. All right? The reason is, first, before you go and expose these things to the wider public, you have to consult the
families.
All right? You've consulted the families.
I personally had issues with the release of those pictures.
So the families have to be contacted.
But the families give consent that the pictures should be.
Yes, the families came in, and when they came, you realize that we were giving instructions to journalists on and on, because we were not, it was not very, very clear until we realized that the families themselves wanted to these things to happen, and they were talking. In fact, we didn't expect that they were going to talk like that. So all those things came spontaneously. So for us, because the TRRC is victim-centered, when the family is happy with it, then we are okay. Although we provide support, the victim support unit people were there counseling before they even started talking. They were spoken to. Are you sure you want to speak? Do you know? And all of those things were happening because we don't want a backlash, and we don't want to open up the wounds all over again. So when they came in, they were the first to come in. We let them wait, and then we briefed them before we could allow everybody to come in. But this was systematically done.
Exactly.
We cannot escape criticisms.
No. Well, it is always Mustafa, I think the concern is, well, at the beginning of at the onset, it was clear that the commission must not be used to score political points. But of course, we know that the whole
naturally
the entire thing
is a political process of touching.
The entire thing is a political process that led to all these things, and so when you are unraveling them, I mean, it's inevitable.
And the fact that people get talking about it, whether in politics,
I mean, some politicians have started saying this from the beginning. It's going to be a witch hunt. So for them, whatever is done there would just be classified as witch hunt. But then, well, Essa Jallow, communication specialist from the TRRC, that is the two records.
You're saying again specialist and he's not a specialist.
Communication specialist.
Yes, communication specialist.
Okay, communication specialist.
Media
specialist was what you said.
I know they put a lot of premium on accuracy at the TRRC.
It's actually communications and outreach. That is
communication and outreach. So that's why you are reaching us here.
Yes.
Good.
And he will become a very
an extension of my job.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much.
Anyway, I enjoyed your article. I think it was well researched, and I've actually learned some things out of that article that I didn't know, and I think that was
the TRRC.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
fantastic.
Oh, the one I wrote, the last one?
Yes, on the TRRC something.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Jallow, thank you very much for coming into the brunch, and I will thank Mustafa Dabo and Nyima the camera. And
you don't have to thank Nyima, it's okay.
And on behalf of Sergio Brito, who is not with us but will be here next week's show, I'm Lavin Chang, wishing you all a great weekend.
Thank you.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.
noo lañ def ñoo ñëw ak yéen rek skincare plus nara jàkkaarloo ak yéen waxtaan ak yéen tuuti rek si suñu tube suñu baax emuñ rek ci ay diw waaye comme ni ngeen ko xamee rek dañoo yëngu ci ay tube te yënguwuñ nag si just any tube suñ tube bu nekk 5-star Jesna la 5-star Jesna mooy Jesna bi gën a pire moom la ñoo tube palmaan bi gën a fort moom la ñoo liggéeyee buñ demee Bamako ñun duñ dem ci marché bi rek buub indi déedéet dañ leen a jox suñu specs ne lañ nii lañ ko buggee nay lañ ko buggee fóot bi nangami fóot lañ bugga pour mu mun a set waaw cuubi skincare déedéet doo ko sol mu di la taxa all over the place ci gàttal ñun rek si cuub dara du doy day des not only dañoo cuub but bu la neexee ñu cuubal la ba pare nag ñawal la ñaw fi mu gën a setee nag rek la ñoo fëlee ñetti ñawkat lañ am nañ ñawkati simple nga xam ne xoppati rek mbaa def sa taille basse def sa dagit def sa roba amul benn dawme am nañ koo xam ne moo ñoo dawme jigéen den am nañ tamit special ñawkat boo xam ne ñawi góor rek la ñoo defal nga bugg a sa his and hers muy korité muy tobaski mbaa muy ngénte muy takka mbaa nga bugg a rek def sa yëkka bu baax a baax daagul ba ñëw skincare plus ñu dimbali la tànnal la cuub fam gën a baaxee ndax sa yëkka gën a foor lii nga ne lan xoolal bi takka la skincare fii la fu léegi yéen tey we're not all about skin we are skin care and the plus does come in so many different ways. Cubantu wuñ de dañ cub bam saf saf